Good morning, second graders. Happy Thursday. Today we are going to continue our work with even and odd numbers. Today we're going to be adding numbers together to decide if they're even or odd. So what that means is that we are going to be looking at when we add an even and an even number, what kind of number do we get at the end? When we add an even and an odd number, what kind of number do we get at the end? And when we add an odd and an odd number, what kind of number do we get at the end? So we're going to practice that today. You guys can build arrays with me if you want to, but you don't have to today. I made sure that you had pictures of everything on the screen, so you can just follow along. You will need a scratch paper and pencil just to write down some information that will help you when you're working on your problem set and exit ticket. All right, let's get started. Okay, so first we are going to make an array with 2 rows of 3. So this is if you want to build your own arrays. You can grab like beans or pennies or anything that you want to make those arrays. Just note today that we're going to be moving the arrays around, so they have to be something that you can move easily. So they either need to be on something that you can put together or something you can slide. So our array is going to have 2 rows of 3. Here we go. This is array number 1. As you can see, it has 2 rows, and each row has 1, 2, 3 tiles. Okay, now I'm going to make a separate array with 2 rows of 4. Okay, so if you want to build your own, go for it. Otherwise, let's move on. Here's our first array with 2 rows of 3. Our second array had 2 rows of 4, so 1 row, 2 rows. Each one has 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the first 2 arrays we're going to be looking at. 2 rows of 3 and 2 rows of 4. So how many tiles in this first array? Count them up and shout it out when you know. 6 tiles. 3 plus 3 is 6. Is 6 an even or an odd number? Shout it out if you know, or just think about it. 6 is even. We know this because it ends in a 6, and because when we looked back at our array, every number had a pair. Okay, look at our second array. Count them up. How many tiles are in the second array? 8 tiles. There was 2 rows of 4. And is 8 even or odd? Shout it out if you know. Even. We know this because 8 ends in an 8, and when we looked back at our array, every tile had a pair. Now let's see what happens when we add 2 even numbers. I'm going to combine both arrays. Remember, array 1 had 6 and array 2 had 8. 2 even numbers, we're going to see what kind of number when we combine them. What kind of number do we get when we combine them? Array 1, array 2. Put them together. How many tiles do we have all together? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have 14 tiles. Look at that number 14. Is 14 even or odd? The array will help you. It's even, right? Every single tile has a pair, and 14 ends in a 4, which is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, and we know those are even numbers. So when we add an even number and an even number, do we get an even number or an odd number? Shout it out if you remember. Even number. So I like to look at this little equation. Even plus even equals even. Say that with me. Even plus even equals even. Let's record that on our chart. So remember I asked you guys to get a piece of paper. This is what we're going to be recording on it just to help you remember when you're working on your problem set. We're going to write this part that's in red. Even plus even equals even. Can you guys pause for a second and write that down to help you remember? I'm going to keep going, so you can just press play when you're ready. Now let's see what happens when we add an even and an odd number. So we're going to go through the same process. First, we're going to make an array with 2 rows of 3. Just like before, here's our array. It has 2 rows of 3 with a total of 6. Now we're going to make an array with 2 rows of 3 and then add 1 tile to the top right row. So it's going to look just like our last array, but we're adding a tile to the top row on the right side. So now it looks like this. This is that extra tile that we added on. So 2 rows of 3 plus 1 tile on the top. Okay, going back to array number 1, is 6 even or odd? Shout it out. You should know this by now. Even. Looking at tile number, sorry guys, my computer's frozen a little bit. Okay, now looking at array number 2, is 7 even or odd? Odd. We know this because this number back here, over here I mean, doesn't have a pair. And 7 does not end in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Okay, so now we're combining both arrays just like we did before. Array 1 is 6, array 2 is 7. Remember, array 1 is even, and array 2 is odd. So we're combining an even and an odd number. How many tiles do we have all together? Let's count. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 tiles all together. Is that even or odd? Looking at the array will help you. Every number doesn't have a pair, so that is an odd number. It also ends in a 3, which is not a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So we know 13 is odd. So that tells us, oh, we kind of just talked about this, right? So I'm going to skip through this page. There's one extra. They're not equal groups, and you can't count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oops, can't do it. Sorry, I went ahead a little bit early, but those are all the reasons we know this is an odd number. So when we add an even and an odd, do we get an even or an odd? Odd, right? Because our even number was 6, our odd number was 7, and we added them together and we got 13, which is odd. So even plus odd equals odd. Let's write that down. Even plus odd equals odd. And you can add that to your chart now. So pause and add even plus odd equals odd. You should now have 2 sentences written on your chart. The first one should say even plus even equals even, and the second one should say even plus odd equals odd. Make sure you have those both written down and keep going when you are ready. Okay, last one. Let's see what happens when we add an odd number to another odd number. First, we're going to make an array with 2 rows of 3 and then add 1 tile to the top right row. So this is just like array number 2 in the last problem. It looks like this. 2 rows of 3 and we added 1 tile to the top right row for a total of 7. Now we're going to make 2 rows of 4 and add 1 tile to the bottom to the bottom row on the left. So 2 rows of 4 for a total of 8 plus an extra one on the bottom left row, so a total of 9. So is 7 even or odd? Shout it out if you know. It's odd. It has that extra tile at the top. Is 9 even or odd? Odd. Remember, it has that extra tile on the bottom left, and we can't count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, we don't get to 9, so that means it's odd. We're going to slide them together to add the 2 odd numbers together. What do you have? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 2 rows of 8 make 16 total tiles. Is 16 even or odd? Look at your array to help you. Can you count by twos? Does every number have a pair? You should have answered yes to both of those problems. It's even. So what do we get when we add an odd and an odd? and even. Let's say that together. Odd plus odd equals even. Now let's add that to your chart. Now you should have 3 total sentences. The last one should say odd plus odd equals even. After you've written it, press play, but I want you to pause right now and make sure you have all 3 of those sentences or equations written down. Okay, let's review now. You can use your chart to help you. What do we get when we add an even and an even? An even. Even plus even equals even. What do we get when we add an even and an odd? Look at your chart to help you. Even plus odd equals odd. And let's see if that's true when it comes to bigger numbers. On a whiteboard or the piece of paper you have, I want you to write the problem 10 plus 12 in your answer. So what is 10 plus 12? Pause that, write it down, and solve, and press play when you're ready. Okay, now look at your equation. Is the first add-in 10 even or odd? 10 is even. Is 12 even or odd? 12 is even. So we're adding an even number plus an even number. What are we going to get, an even number or an odd number? 22. Is 22 even or odd? 22 is even because I can count by 2 and get to 22. 22 is even because if I look in the ones digit, there's a 2. And it is even because 11 plus 11 makes 22. So I know I can have 2 rows of 11 and every number would have a pair. So remember, even plus even equals even. Okay, how about this one? 22 plus 3. 22, even or odd? Even. 3, even or odd? Odd. So now I'm adding an even plus an odd. 22, let's add 3. 22, put that one in your head, remember? And then 3 fingers up. 22, 23, 24, 25. 25. Is 25 even or odd? 25 is odd because if I count by 2s, I'm not going to get to 25. 25 is odd because the ones digit is a 5. Now last one, we're going to write the problem 21 plus 5. 21, even or odd? Odd. 5, even or odd? Odd. 21 plus 5 is 26. So 26, is that even or odd? It's even because I can count by 2 and get to 26. 26 is even because the ones digit is a 6. So 2, 4, 6, or 8. So odd plus odd equals even. Okay, guys. I know that was a lot of information and I went a little quick today because I wanted to make sure the video didn't get cut off. So if you need to go back and rewatch at any time, please go for it. I'm going to go over the problem set right now. To avoid confusion, I did the first one of each type of problem for you. So you have all these circles over here. When you create your array, you're wanting to put them into equal columns or groups. So there were 10 here. I put them in 2 rows of 5, and that's an even number. Then there's a direction over here. Redraw your picture with 1 less circle. So I redrew the same picture, but I took 1 away. Now my number is 9, and that's odd, so I circled odd. So that's exactly what you guys are going to be doing. You're going to be creating an array with these, and then following the directions, either adding 1 more circle or taking 1 away. For 2, you are looking at the equation and determining if each number is even or odd, E for even, O for odd. So 17 was odd, plus 2 was even, so an odd plus an even made 19, which is an odd. Down here, you are just writing examples of problems adding an even to an even, adding an odd to an even, and adding an odd to an odd. And then for your problem set, it's just like number 1 on your exit ticket is just like number 1 on your problem set. Okay, guys, Remember to turn this into Seesaw or Google Classroom. I'm going to be checking in to see who completes their work today. You've got this.